Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. Mm-hmm. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill. Good feet on the old man.
This is some back. I love.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Tuesday. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button as we get going. Tons of guests here on this Tuesday. The Carpool Queen's here early. Good morning, Katie. Yes,
Good
no,
morning.
but you're here early.
I am. No carpool today.
Who
else we got?
What's that?
Who else we got?
We got Doug Thompson.
Yeah.
Coming in 7:30. Old Dugger's going to talk about last night. LSU gets their 11th win of the season as the Tigers blank Butler 11-0. Thatcher Hurd 11 strikeouts, 6 scoreless for the UCLA transfer. We will talk to Doug here coming up at 7:30 this morning about LSU. Next up for the Tigers, they will take on Lamar. Coach Will Davis, former LSU player and assistant, now leading Lamar,
Cool.
is the coach over there. He'll be in town Wednesday night, and then LSU will take on Samford this weekend before Texas A&M series and SEC cranks up.
Finally.
A week from Friday. Yes, it is
Competition.
time. I agree.
Well, at least they aren't playing with their food.
I know.
At least they aren't playing with their food.
They're
Wow,
not.
What did I miss?
Huh? Oh, I'm just
No,
saying
I'm saying,
LSU's not playing with their food. Like,
I mean, they're killing everyone.
beating everybody
I mean,
at, like,
it's just insane.
senselessly.
It's not even fun to watch. I mean,
Hey.
it's fun to watch, like, home run after home run, but other than that, it's like, geez, give us some competition.
well, when you're that good, the
Number one
gap's
team in
small.
the country.
I know.
But
They're
I agree.
proving
I
it.
mean, the non-conference outside of the Round Rock in Texas has been. But I mean, they've how many games have they played? What are they? 11-1.
Yeah.
12 games in. So they'll see. So Lamar this week, Samford coming up. LSU baseball rolls again. We'll talk to Doug Thompson about it coming up here, and then Ross Jackson's going to stop by. He's going to land.
Why do we need Ross?
And
Locked on Katie.
Yesterday. Yesterday, Derek Carr made it official as he sent out the tweet, "Who dat?" yesterday afternoon with Tyrann Mathieu leading the cheer
I love it.
in the dome as Derek Carr made it official. He is a Saint. Carr, this coming from Ian Rappaport, has inked a deal with New Orleans to take him off the market, and he is now a New Orleans Saint. We'll talk all about that with Ross Jackson. But Katie, take your lap. You called it.
I was
you
right.
Called it.
Yeah.
You called it.
I mean, it's not the first time, though, so we
Yeah.
don't have to celebrate too much. But
Oh.
a 4-year, $150 million deal It's pretty good. And now, like, all the other dominoes are going to fall. I can't wait to see where everybody else ends up, right?
Well, I think the big winner here is Green Bay. Now they have this, they have the best quarterback left on the market.
Going to the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think Green Bay wants him anymore.
No, I don't think they do either. But he's expendable. I mean, like now you can get something for him.
Mm-hmm. Another winner in this is Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Derek Carr getting the big deal. Geno Smith got paid yesterday.
Yeah.
So pay the man.
There's going to be some things happening today, I feel like, right? Texans, Colts, Raiders, Falcons, Panthers, Jets.
Well, you'll start to see. You're
looking.
going to start to see the hand being played here. What's going to happen in the draft?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll start to see the teams that are really in need of a quarterback here.
Mm-hmm.
The more I read, and just the more that I listen to people that are coming out of Indianapolis, and I mean, this is like the Kuipers, the McShays, and these types of podcasts and read these types of works. It seems like C.J. Stroud is the best player at the draft. I mean, at the combine. Like the more, like, it seems like that's what scouts, that's what GMs are saying, and him being there at a possible number one slot seems and makes sense. So we'll see. I mean, I think all this is a quarterback market. I mean, it was crazy to see. I mean, Daniel Jones, see the deal he got? $30 million a year. They were debating a couple of months ago whether or not they were going to cut him.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Now you got a deal worth
Good for
$300 million in New York.
Good for him.
So
Danny
I mean, it gives you an idea. The quarterback market, man. If you can flirt like you can play,
Yeah.
you can get paid in today's NFL with the amount of money that's being thrown out there. And David Carr, officially a Saint. Look, I did not like
David,
this.
Not David, Derek.
Derek Carr, I'm sorry.
But somebody tweeted that out yesterday, accidentally. Who was it?
I was just looking at
Like
it.
a media
It
outlet.
was a reporter.
Yeah, accidentally tweeted David Carr. Dang it.
It
Who was
wasn't
that? We
Ian
were talking about it
Rappaport.
after the show. No. Anyway.
Was it Rappaport?
No.
He tagged Rappaport in the tweet, though.
Look, my initial reaction was blah. I mean, I don't love the deal, but the more you do look into Derek Carr and, just kind of getting some info on Carr, obviously the Las Vegas Raiders are, from a comparison standpoint to New Orleans, very unstable from the front office standpoint. He's played for different head coaches, different offensive coordinators. He's had his first round pick be arrested and go to jail. He's gone through things that, look, are not good as far as running a franchise in the NFL. I mean, just a lot of stuff that can distract what's going on and trying to win. And Vegas had weapons, and Carr was a guy that, if you dig into the numbers, he's got more fourth quarter comebacks than anybody in the league since he's been drafted. And
His numbers are not bad.
the reason why it seems, and when you kind of look and pay attention to who he's been playing with, he's really never had a defense.
Right.
He's always been playing from behind, right? He's always been trying to bring his team back. And in New Orleans, two things that he's going to get that he's never had, that I think you can't argue, is that he's going to get a stable front office with Gail Benson, obviously, at the leading spot of that. Mickey Loomis, Dennis Lauscha, Kai Hartley, Jeff Ireland. I mean, all of these guys, Greg Benzel, I mean, all of these guys that have been there for so long and have been a proven stable winner in the league consistently. Carr's never had that. I mean, whether it was in Oakland or whether it was in Vegas. I mean, the Davis ownership with the Raiders has always been just kind of a sideshow. I mean, it's always kind of been a circus. And, specifically under Mark Davis, it's been even worse because he's a little over his skis, you can tell. So you get Carr a stable front office first and foremost, somebody that really understands how to build a roster, how to put people around him and win. And then second of all, you get him a defense. I mean, the last 3 years, the Saints have had a top 10 defense in the league. He's very familiar, obviously, with Dennis Allen. Allen drafted him when he was in Oakland coming out of Fresno. And he understands that Allen's going to run the defense. and he obviously felt comfortable enough with what was going to happen on the offense. The concerning part about Carr, I think, first is there wasn't a lot of suitors out there. The more you read, the Carolina stuff was just some exploratory interview. They never made an offer. New York, the Jets told him they were waiting to see on what Aaron Rodgers was going to do, so they didn't really offer him there. There really wasn't a market for David Carr or for Derek Carr. Jeez, sorry. For Derek Carr, outside of New Orleans was really kind of the only real offer that he had. So, I mean, when you look at a 32-year-old that still seems like he's got a lot of football left to play. I mean, at least the contract says this is not a one-year prove-it deal. This is a commitment to the future of we believe, or the Saints are saying they believe they can win with him into the future. And I got to say I am surprised by the move, but I also respect the move from the Saints standpoint that the Saints always are in win-now mode, which as a fan, I think you have to appreciate, right? Whether you agree or disagree with the moves, they are steady, aggressive in trying to put together a contender every year. And it's just respectful from the public standpoint. If you're a ticket buyer out there, you have to at least appreciate that they're going to try and give themselves a chance every season. They're never going to say we're going to tank. They're never going to say that they're going to rebuild. They're never going to say that they're going to try and, work things and figure things out for the next couple of years and trying to rebuild it through the draft. I mean, they are always foot on the pedal trying to make moves to win now. And whether you agree or disagree with them, and, if I was voting on this, I would disagree with this move because – I kind of thought that that's what they were going to do. I thought that they were going to just kind of bite the bullet and realize that they were going to get themselves back to some stable cap space, try and build through the draft, maybe try to deal some players and get some draft picks back that they didn't, have necessarily this season or next year, and try and get young again on some contracts that they could afford and, see if they couldn't find a quarterback somewhere, whether it was in the draft or wait on somebody that – they believed in.
Well, 32 is young again now.
I know.
Right? And it's just like we talked about yesterday when we don't know everything going on in the background that Scott Woodward is doing. We don't know everything going on in the background that the Saints are doing. I mean, Derek has a really good arm, right? But he played for the Raiders for 9 years without going to a playoff game. I mean, that is probably why a lot of That's probably why a lot of people are down on him. But just like you said, like the Saints defense and a couple of their offensive weapons, like this could be redemption for him in the second half of his career. He ranks 8th in both yards and touchdowns among active NFL quarterbacks right now. That's not terrible.
His numbers aren't bad. The only number that jumps out is the interceptions. Sometimes he makes some terrible decisions.
Yeah.
The decisions down the stretch in that Cincinnati playoff game were just like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
But
ideally,
ideally,
he hasn't had the support. Maybe he hasn't had that kind of.
I agree,
that
man.
the
Like
Saints
he's
are
had
building
weapons
for him.
there, but this will be the best offensive line he's played for.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, this will be, like we said, a stable ownership and administration that he's never really had, and he's got a defense. He's got a defense that is that rain.
Is it? That's what I was just about to ask.
That's
No
why I
way,
looked
right?
back, 'cause it was like,
I just heard
something.
some pouring water
Jeez.
all of a sudden. That's weird.
It's raining. It's strictly.
Unless we have a leak somewhere in here we're about to find out
No,
about.
that's definitely rain.
Oh, it's raining. It is raining.
Supposed to rain all day.
No. It's for the next few hours.
So I think that the bigger news is he's the first domino to fall, and I'm excited to see where everybody else is going to go. Right?
Well, I think
where's
next is
Jimmy G going to go?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to the Jets.
I think he's going back to Green Bay now.
You do?
Yeah, I mean,
I
at
don't
this
think Green
point-
Bay wants him anymore.
I don't think they
That's
do
the
either,
thing.
but I mean, I think they'll for one more year they'll take him. I think this year is definitely different than how they have handled him the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the last 2 years they catered to him, they waited on him, they told him that they would rebuild the roster and make the moves that he wanted to make. Now you can tell they're like, dude, are you in or are you out? Like, let us know. What's the deal? And if you're out, it's all good because we believe in Jordan Love. They're like saying they're not stressing the quarterback
No, they're
thing
not.
as much as other people are because they're saying, look, if you leave, the replacement's in the building.
Yeah.
I would think last year at this time, Green Bay was probably concerned about Jordan Love. Now watching him, you're probably like, look, Aaron, what's the deal?
I know. It's kind of like the Brett Favre deal, like same type
absolutely.
situation.
It's the same exact situation. Kind of it's history replaying itself in Green Bay. It's the same thing that Favre and Rodgers were doing, when that transition happened in the mid 2000s. So Derek
Brett
Carr.
doing now?
What's that?
I haven't heard much about him lately, about
Favre?
his drama. Yeah. He in jail yet?
I think he said to Pat McAfee that he was going to bankrupt him.
Yeah, he's suing Pat McAfee right now. So he's busy with
Brett
the
Favre
lawsuit.
is suing Pat McAfee?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
He's suing him for defamation of character.
Yeah, him,
That's cool.
Shannon Sharp, and like 2 other people.
Good luck, Brett.
Brett. Why?
Like, Brett, that's public knowledge that you stole money from people.
Go away.
It's just like that. This is like he's about to hit rock bottom.
I think he already did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's there.
he's just.
He's
So
there.
David Carr now.
Derek.
Oh man.
What are we gonna do?
It's even on the screen.
Sorry,
Derek.
Sorry,
I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. And now everybody's going to get more of a close-up view on if he is or is not wearing eyeliner. We had an argument about that in here yesterday.
I say he's not.
I say he's not as well.
say he's
And you know that because you're a thick eyelash guy. So you know.
I have thick eyelashes, but I think he's wearing eyeliner.
No.
Yeah, but he's got like white skin and thick black
Stewie.
eyelashes. You really see his hair outline, right? That's the difference.
That's a commitment.
I mean,
He's
hey, look.
white.
Derek Carr seems
mean,
like that type of guy.
Once you were
No.
accused of that, that's something you would have to keep up now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go get my paper. I can't go take the trash out with putting eyeliner on. You know what I mean?
my God.
Yeah, you really would. You'd have to get it
like,
tattooed on.
What happens if somebody sees me and they're like, whoa,
Whoa, you look different.
what's the deal, man?
The eyes aren't as
Not
black
wearing
today.
eyeliner.
I don't know,
That's
Katie.
so weird. If he were, it would have been like melting from the sweat under his face. You would see makeup down his face at some point.
It's like the first time you ever catch a relative like with rollers in her hair or like her
Oh
hair
my
up. You're like,
goodness.
who are you?
It is. It's like
I've never seen you in this part of the process.
I know. It's uncomfortable.
I've always seen you a finished product.
Never
like
seen this
women
person
who-
before.
Right.
Women who sleep in their makeup and like so they wake up looking like they
That's
do, you know,
weird.
or they get up like super early and like put. I knew a mom, like a friend's mom, who would get up in the morning and like fix herself up before her husband woke up. Not even kidding.
Oh, so her husband wouldn't see her
Yes.
looking like she just woke up?
Yes.
That is too
Yeah,
much.
that scares
Isn't it?
me.
I would also say that would be a mark on the husband. Like, where are your evaluation skills, buddy?
Exactly.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Supposed to be like,
just look at the neck.
yeah.
Yeah, for
Why-
sure.
why
Look
is
at
she
the
not
neck
in
and the
bed in the
hands.
morning?
Neck and the hands
Yeah.
are great indicators. The neck is.
Yeah, the
I
neck
feel like
is
you're
a
looking
giveaway.
at my neck right now,
I am.
and we're looking at each other's
You're good.
necks.
You're good.
It's a dead giveaway.
Probably need to shave mine. But it's
I
all
always
good.
accuse
You're
David
all
of looking
good,
at my
yeah.
neck. I'm like, you looking at my neck? Does it look older? He's like, what the hell are you talking
What?
about?
Checking your makeup.
I'm
man.
like, well, we're getting older. Like, what is my neck? Is my neck okay?
Little turkey neck.
It's a thing. Just wait, Stewie. You
Yeah,
start
no
looking
doubt
at
about
chicks'
it,
necks
man.
too.
I check the makeup line all the time.
Yeah. You
Gotta
gotta do
check it.
that.
Ass, ankles, and neck.
Yeah, ass, ankles, and neck, coach.
Add another one to the sheet. Remember, we're brought to you by RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois, rmbbuilders.com. RMB Builders can be found on Instagram. Make sure and check them out there where they got great projects going on right now. They're finishing projects, starting projects, in the middle of projects, working on phase 2 of projects.
We're doing it.
All of it going on over at RMB Builders. If you are in the market for a commercial or a residential job, get in touch with RMB Builders. All right, we're going to talk to Doug Thompson coming up here in a couple of minutes. LSU last night, as we said, beats Butler as they improved to 11-1 on the season. Thatcher Hurd last night, the starting pitcher for the Tigers, as he worked scoreless through 6 to get the win as LSU won their 6th in a row. Hurd just allowed 3 hits 1 walk, struck out 11 last night. That's a career high for him. He did post 12 strikeouts at UCLA last year in a game versus Long Beach State, so one shy.
Yeah, one shy of
his career high. Dylan Cruz last night was on home run, double, couple of RBIs.
It's just like whatever. Watching him, I'm like, well, there's another home run.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah.
He makes it look
easy.
so freaking
Like,
easy.
real
Paxton Kling is a player.
Hey.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, just a new name. Like,
Just
hell
another
yeah,
name.
bro. Bring him out. Just keep him rolling. Last night, Kling 3 for 3, double, his first collegiate bomb. And then Brady Neal also knocked one out of the yard last night. And Neal is kind of like a silent story on this team of a guy that they signed a lot of catchers. They brought in a lot of catchers to a group that was very talented on the roster. And every time you look out there, this guy's behind the dish. I mean, that tells you to hold off the players that he is. And we're going to talk to Doug about that here in about 8 minutes. And we always ask Doug about the catcher because he's a former pitcher. And
what's his name?
his son, Brady Neal.
Yeah, Noah sent me a picture of him yesterday from the side, and it was like, I got you some new ass to look at. It was
Great
like
ass. The ass is
a
nice.
good profile.
Perfect seat.
Yeah, it was a
the
good
ass
profile.
is nice.
Okay.
It was a good profile, you know. I prefer the football player booty, though.
I'm
but
still going Jared Jones, 1 seed on this
Yeah.
team.
Dylan Cruz bumped.
Bumped, coach.
Wow.
Jared Jones is unit.
Wow. Incredible.
Is he the catcher? Who's the catcher?
Jared Jones
No,
catches
Neal.
2.
Yeah.
Let me
Really?
play his first 2.
Yeah.
Maybe it was him. I think it was Jared Jones
What
Probably
number
so.
was it?
with the booty.
Probably
22?
I'll have to look. I'll get back
Yeah.
to you in a second.
Probably so. A lot of people talking about it out there.
Get back to you
About
on that
his
ass.
booty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe it was.
It's stirring them up. So we'll talk to Dougie about all of it.
Oh, yeah, it was Jared Jones.
Okay.
See?
But Noah called him Bear.
Yeah, that's
Is
what
that
they
his
call
nickname?
him.
What is that about?
I don't know. That's just his nickname.
Okay.
Bear Jones. That's his name on
I
Twitter.
mean, he looks like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean,
Is he the hairy one?
Like he looks. They have a few of these cats on this team look like football players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm telling you, like that was one of the deals about LSU baseball back in the day, is that they would beat a lot of teams when they got off the bus.
Uh-huh.
You know, like they were just like, you were like, damn. I mean, these cats are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like they get off with like Lyle Mouton was just an animal
What
getting off the
team
bus.
was that, though?
Mouton and the catcher Osick, Keith Osick, were on the '91 team. They had Osick, but I'm telling you, like what kind of like built the the demeanor, like kind of the intimidation factor of LSU baseball, were teams like that where you had like Rich Cordani was a guy that just like Cordani was the guy with Rants when they went and shot craps at Caesar's Palace that night, and Skip and Smoke caught him.
Ronnie's big. Mikey's big.
Ronnie was a big dude.
Jay Mitch is big.
Yeah,
Jared
they're
Mitchell,
big.
was an intimidating dude. But like even like they had guys like John O'Donohue was a pitcher who was like 6'7" back in the
Jeez.
day. They had guys that were just they looked. I mean, I remember they had a guy named Harry Barrios who had like this like he had like facial hair and like
His name was Harry?
Harry Barrios.
Oh, goodness.
I think it was Harry, not Henry. Harry. Harry.
That's awesome if his name was Harry.
Harry.
And he was that Harry.
Harry.
Somebody will fix it. in
But
the
just,
chat
I
if
mean,
you got
like
it wrong.
that was one of the things about the teams back in the day was that they looked rugged.
Big
You know what I
corn-fed
mean?
boys.
Absolutely. Like
Some nice-looking players
one
right
of the
there.
things we used to always say about Maneri's teams,
Bunch of-
Mikey and those guys looked different.
Yeah.
DJ LeMahieu and Jared Mitchell and Matuk. I mean, they all looked
Yeah.
different out there. But then they kind of like started to look like fratty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they no disrespect. I mean, they all kind of look like me. They all look 5'9", 175 pounds. You know what I mean? They all look just like very basic.
Little.
Well,
You
and
know what I
now
mean?
they all
None
look
of them
like-
look like Jared Jones.
Yeah.
None of
No.
them look like Paul Skeens.
None of them look
None
like
of
Jacob Berry.
Yeah, right. like Dylan Cruz. You know, like none of them look like Trey Morgan.
Now
I
they
mean,
all look
Morgan
like
looks like a
baseball
DB.
players.
You know?
Like mullet, chain wearing baseball players.
You
Yeah.
said
With
now?
mirrored sunglasses.
Absolutely.
That's what they look like now.
Absolutely.
Like
man.
everybody, all through college
I
baseball.
want
I
my
feel like so
baseball
many
team
of
a
them.
little trashy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all look a little trashy.
Let's get weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like a bunch of
Wraparound
Lloyds
shades, gold
out there.
chains,
But Harry or Lloyds.
tats, facial hair.
Yes.
Let it grow as long as you want.
Absolutely.
Until we lose, let it grow.
Yeah, it's
Little
it's
tuck in,
it's
tuck
not my
out.
favorite look. I like a cleaner
Zipper
look.
up, zipper down. You know.
Whatever you want. Nasty Nate, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear y'all talking about Mississippi State. No, they're not doing well. It's another disappointing season so
Katie's
far.
fighting for her life over there.
I'm aware of it.
Waiting on
but thanks
football
for
season, huh?
pointing it out.
Oh, I thought you threw the towel in
What do you mean?
on being a Mississippi State fan.
You keep saying that.
Yeah,
but
you keep-
No, I
you-
went through, a tough time this fall with them.
you
but
crawfish.
like,
Just using your
always come
words.
back.
You crawfish in and out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't
Like,
you as a fan?
Nah.
Yes, y'all
Not
do.
anymore.
LSU fans, come on.
I don't crawfish in and out.
Oh,
I'm in.
come on.
Look, I was here for 6 and 6, 2 years
LSU
in a
fans
row.
like hate y'all have one loss and you hate them.
Somebody
and then you're
told-
back on the bandwagon.
Somebody
again.
told me yesterday they thought Les Miles was the president, and I
what?
almost cried. This,
Oh, like a comparison?
no, like this dude thought Les Miles was the president when he was a kid
What?
of the United
What?
States.
Oh, like when he
Yes.
was a kid.
Like when he was a kid, he grew up in Baton Rouge, so he was like, I thought Les Miles was the president, and I was like,
Oh.
I mean,
That is-
he acted like one.
he did. He thought he was too.
Tell her to come see.
Okay.
Shut that door if you don't mind.
No, I am not off of Mississippi State, Jordy. I never will be off.
Katie is
Okay.
no longer.
just
a
more-
Well, then just
on-
don't say that you're off of Mississippi State, and I won't take it like that.
I don't.
You have said
I
you
mean,
were
I
off of
went
them.
In football season, you melted.
Okay,
I mean,
but do you? I mean,
Katie,
do you
that
You're
blame-
wearing a
video.
Stingley
Have
jersey.
y'all never melted during football season?
Not like that.
Yes.
Not
Come on.
anymore.
But you
I think I
have
did
in the
back in
past.
college.
You have. Well, I'm still there, I guess. I haven't matured as much. And you're just saying that because it's like, it seems like I'm off a little bit because LSU is creeping in a little bit more to me.
No, I think that you have converted. I know that you can't admit it
You just
publicly.
want me to have
There's a lot of
converted.
people that watch in Mississippi that you're loyal to, which I respect.
There are.
But, if you saw her day in, day out, there's a lot
mean,
of
here I
compassion for
am, yeah.
LSU.
Purple
there's
and
a
gold
lot
all around
There's
me.
a lot of pulling. There's a lot of,
Yeah, she gets in and out.
You're
there.
right, but I'm still.
I'm not,
a
look, I got
Mississippi
your
State
back. I'm not
fan.
going to do this to you.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I have no problem explaining it. I'm
not gonna
still
do this
going
to
to
you.
always be a Mississippi State fan. I graduated from there. I mean, come on.
Absolutely. For
You know.
sure.
So-
no doubt.
so
That's
even-
day
my
one.
alma
I never
mater.
questioned it. Doug Thompson next. We're going to talk some LSU baseball here as the Tigers win last night. Improved to 11-1. We'll ask him about Thatcher Hurd's experience. We'll also talk to him about what's going on here as the weekends get cranked up. Texas A&M 1 weekend away here as SEC baseball's gets cranked up. We'll talk to Dougie next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button, as we will talk to Ross Jackson coming up here in 30 minutes. We'll talk to Ross, of course, Locked On Saints podcast about the move. Derek Carr coming to New Orleans.
Hey,
how did it happen?
You said Derek, not David.
When did it happen? That was lucky, too.
That was lucky. I know that.
All right, speaking of friends of ours, Ross Jackson will be here, like we said, 8 o'clock. Doug Thompson here touching on some LSU baseball. As we mentioned, LSU returned to action last night after they closed out their 4-game set versus Butler last night. They had Central Connecticut in town, as well as LSU improved to 11-1 on the season. LSU last night, 14 hits, 11 runs, their third consecutive run rule victory, as the game didn't even make it to 9 innings. As Thatcher Hurd, we mentioned, made his another start last night, and one shy of his career high, as he tossed 11 strikeouts for the Tigers.
I feel like the last 3 games haven't made it to 9 innings, right?
No. This is they're on fire.
When's the last time do you feel like a team has looked like this and like starting off like this, like early season?
Tennessee looked like this last year. Well,
they did. You're
I don't
right.
know. I don't know about this.
I really meant an LSU team, but you are right.
Bregman's
did.
junior year.
Yeah. Didn't they only lose like 3 games?
Yeah, they only lost like. It was single digit.
It was like 5 at the end of the year.
Wait, so when was that?
It was single digit.
13.
2013.
No.
Or was it 14?
No. It was later than that. I want to say it was like 16.
So did they go to Omaha that year?
Oh,
Yeah.
And then
UCLA
what
knocked them
happened?
out.
Okay,
Right.
that's right.
Barbecue.
That's right. I remember
Bregman
that.
committed an error in the 8th,
Okay.
and I think they got beat 1-0. Nola was on the mound. I mean, it was a hell of a game.
Yeah, UCLA is just like so good some years.
Yeah, those West Coast teams. All right, talking to baseball with our guy Doug Thompson. Of course, you can catch him on the LSU Sports Radio Network. He's on Twitter at DT9Tigers, and was a All-American back in his day, first-round selection, and now you can hear him breaking down LSU baseball on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Doug, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Just finished the best part of the day, dropping my sons off at school. We just finished up a mean game of I Spy, and
nice.
Able to jump on this call. Glad to be with you, Jordy.
Those are great mornings, Dougie. Last night, Thatcher Hurd gets another start. Very impressive, 11 strikeouts. What'd you see from the pitcher, from the transfer?
I saw more what we read about and what we expected. If you looked at his numbers last year, and I don't have anything in front of me, but I think he had somewhere close to mid-30s innings pitched, and he had single-digit walks, maybe even like 6 walks if I remember correctly. But his command is what separates him. He's able to just split that outside black and all night long with his fastball. He had a nice cutter last night in the high 80s. He's got an off-speed pitch that's more of a slurve in the low 80s. I mean, he's a dude. Fastball was 95, 96 it got up to last night. And last night we saw what I've expected to see the first 2 times. I think we talked a couple weeks ago after his start against Southern, and I told you, don't fret just yet. I think that was a lot about nerves and in a new place and maybe being a little too excited. I think he had 4 walks in that game, but he was in total command of that baseball game last night. Not real sure how good Butler is. I think that was their 9th loss in a row. But throwing straight doesn't matter, right? Like, it's still what I was watching for him last night wasn't really about Butler hitting. It was more about his pitching, getting ahead of hitters, his ability to stay ahead of hitters. And last night, 11 punch outs and 1 walk. That's what we're looking for.
Doug, the position that feels like it has the most pressure on this team early in the season is DH. What is the margin for error at that spot?
Man, look, this team reminds me so much of, those late 90s teams, 96 through 2000, if you will, the quote unquote gorilla ball era, where there's so many guys, some guys you might not even hear about. Some guys we might not even see as much as we would see on a normal year. Some guys would have a chance to start at any other school in the SEC. Mm-hmm. But we're so deep, and Jay Johnson has this ability right now to take the kids who are hot and have them in the lineup, and he's showing us all that defense is very important, and not that Braden Jobert hasn't done a fine job at third base and Trey Morgan out in left field, but he's trying to find his best possible 9 bats. They've played incredible defense this year, certainly comparatively speaking to last year, only with 3 errors on the season. So, I think it's just a revolving door of who's hot, and I think there's some matchup stuff that they're looking into, with lefty-righty stuff, who's going to occupy that DH spot.
Paxton Kling is a new name that's jumping off that people are talking about over the last couple of games. He was in right field last night, 3 for 3 with his first collegiate home run. What do you know about him, and how does he help the number 1 squad?
Well, I'll tell you, he's a new name that we're hearing right now, but he's not a new name in that dugout or in that locker room. He was He was a starting right fielder on opening night. They expect a lot from him. In my brief meeting with Jay Johnson before the season started, he spoke very highly of him. He absolutely destroyed a ball to left field last night, right down the line. It was just a towering major league home run, and he can really, really run. So those 2 things, the ability to hit with power, he hit a couple other balls hard as well. But I'm not saying he's Dylan Cruz, but he may be, the next Dylan Cruz type player here at LSU. I mean, he really is big, strong, and powerful. And he put on a show last night. So it looks like he's kind of settling into where they thought. Again, you never really can judge the book by the cover, especially with the young guys and the newcomers on that first outing out on that field, because there's so much emotion and energy you have to understand how to deal with. And it looks like Paxton Kling has figured it out, at least for now. Remember, we're talking about a different type pitching, right? Mm-hmm. And nothing against Central Connecticut State or Butler. Central Connecticut State, those guys literally just played their first 4 games of the year here at Baton Rouge. Talk about a tough place to open, and left with 2 games under their belt for wins. But you know what? I mean, I think that the best fastball we saw, or at least I saw, was 92, 93 miles an hour. In 2 weeks, that all changes.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
I love where everybody is right now. I'm certainly not trying to be the doomsday prepper. But things aren't as realistic as they'll be in a couple weeks. We'll know in 3 weeks if this team is for real, like they look right now, or if they're a really good team that's going to compete for an SEC championship.
Blake Money was in last night to close it out for LSU. He looked good with 2 strikeouts. Where does he fit in on this squad, Dougie, early on? Where do you envision him contributing?
Well, he's older, and that comes with maturity, and he's got some innings under his belt. I mean, this guy was the Friday night starter at one point in his career. So for those reasons alone, I think he can help. And I think he's finding this niche role as maybe a setup man to a Christian Little or perhaps a midweek closer and maybe a mid-inning guy on the weekends, maybe a long relief guy. I don't know, but he has, like Cade Beloso, when given his opportunities, he's answered. And whether it's against mid-level talent or not, he's still getting the job done. So I think he could be kind of a late inning guy. He could be a situational righty, but he has looked good in his couple outings.
Dougie, the defense on this team, obviously it's a storyline because of last year, how criticized and just they were able to, it just cost them games. What do you make of defensively? What stood out to me last week was what you mentioned, that you come from the school of Skip Burtman, where he was finding his best 9, and sometimes he'd sacrifice maybe an error or two to just make sure he had his best hitters on the field. Where does this defense stack up early on?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, we look at our leadership. Jay Johnson, he didn't hide behind the fact that they didn't play defense very well last year. In fact, he owned it, and he made some statements that it would change, and it has. I mean, these guys are a totally different team now defensively. They make smarter plays. Last year I found that they were forcing a lot of throws and trying to make that huge play, whereas this year, look, and there's a lot more run support this year, and that takes a little bit of pressure off of defenses as it is, right? So I think the culmination of all of those things together have turned out a pretty good results so far. I don't want to jinx them, but they've played stellar defense through this first 12 games.
Brady Neal last night with his first home run as well. What do you like about his offense? I know we've talked about his defense. How do you like him offensively?
I love him because he's patient. Like he's not scared to take a count deep. He's not scared to fall behind 0-2. He battles through that. I think he leads the team in walks. And last night, his shot hit the Marucci's hitter's house down there, or not the hitter's house, their indoor facility, the training facility. It hit the roof there. We don't see many hit the roof, and Brady Neal did. And again, heard a lot about his bat and how well he swings it. He's a kid that went to IMG Academy. He was a big time prospect coming out of high school, and it showed last night. But what I see about Brady Neal is he finds his way on base. I remember his first at bat, like yesterday as a Tiger. I don't know that I'll ever forget it. The wind, the flags were pointing dead at us behind the home plate, right in his face. It was miserably cold. No one wanted to hit. And his first at bat as a freshman, he drove a line drive through all of that wind off the bottom of the right center field wall. Damn. And it was impressive. Just all of those factors included. So, yeah, I like him. And is he as good as Milazzo behind the plate? I don't think so. But it's not that big of a disparagement. And his bat just kind of separates the two. So, Brady Neal. And again, that's a big move for Jay Johnson. He's got Milazzo, a guy that's been a starter for a couple years, who's stellar defensively. And Jay Johnson had to make a tough decision to start with Brady Neal, and he stuck with him, and I respect that decision.
Tommy White got banged up in the opener, bounced back in the second weekend, and then the third weekend he caught his stride as he banged out a couple of home runs this weekend, and last night scored a run after a nice night at the plate. What have you made of his transition into LSU and now starting to catch some production?
He is the quintessential middle of the lineup guy. He's big, he's intimidating, he swings hard, he can hit the ball to all fields with power. His bat is everything that they said it would be. He started off slow in the home run department. But look, anytime I see kids hitting the ball into the opposite field bleachers, you know that there's some juice there. If you can hit it the other way with power, obviously you certainly have enough power to hit it out to dead center field and to the pull side. So that's what I've seen with him. He has a tremendous amount of confidence up there for only a sophomore, And I think he's going to be one of those names that you see in the lineup, from start to finish.
Doug, you probably played in the golden age of LSU baseball. There was a cool picture that came out this weekend of, I believe it was Central Connecticut, walking around campus and checking out Tiger Stadium and checking out Mike the Tiger, and they had pictures of him looking at the Intimidator and at the box. Your team had that type of cachet when y'all would show up to ballparks and when people would come into Baton Rouge. What's it like as a former player seeing that, when we may take that for granted now?
Well, I mean, I don't know how to maybe put it in words, but as you were giving me that description, I got the chills, and it's back. I mean, that pride to see these guys out there playing the way they are right now, I'm telling you, it's just so reminiscent of how those teams were, meaning that they were big, strong, and aluminum. That's what Coach Burtman always used to say. Those teams swung hard. They gave great at-bats. They had great pitching, great defense. They were just really that trifecta package that you're looking for. And there was some swagger there. Mm-hmm. And when you come to the box and you see the Hall of Fame, and you see the Intimidator, and then, all the people start to get there and they're calling Baton Rouge on your first pitching change. It's overwhelming. I played in the minor leagues for a few years after LSU and played with guys that, played at all the different schools. And of course, many of them had been to Baton Rouge, and it's a real thing. I mean, the 10th man thing is very cliche, but I hear more energy. I hear more excitement and enthusiasm from the crowd, and it's just very reminiscent. It's awesome to see. And I know I speak for, all those late 90s, early 2000s guys, even early 90s guys, that there's a great deal of pride that comes along with all of this, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Always appreciate the breakdown. Dougie will be listening on Wednesday night. Lamar in town taking on LSU as they will set up a 3-gamer versus Samford this weekend before Texas A&M, as Doug said. You'll find out here pretty shortly if LSU is as good as we think they are or if they're just a contending team that's at the top of the SEC. Great to hear from you, Dougie. We'll talk soon.
You too. Last time of the year for Buzzy and I on Wednesday night. So be sure to tune in at 6 o'clock. All right, JC, talk to you soon, bro.
Party in the booth. All right, bro. Later, man.
Yes, sir.
There he is, Doug Thompson, checking in from the LSU Sports Radio Network. Appreciate his breakdown. Always love his insight, man. Always good to check in with him. And look, I think Doug was here on that 96, 97, 98 team is probably the best 3-year stretch in the history of LSU baseball.
Jeez.
I mean, you think about it, that 96 team won with Warren Morris knocking the ball in the championship against Miami. The 97 team was like wire to wire. They were the best team in the country. Doug was the ace on that team, started the national championship team, or he closed out the national championship game in 97.
They won that one?
They won that one. That was their first back-to-back.
Okay.
In 96, 97. And then in 98, Doug and the 98 team went up to Omaha, and they were, without question, the best team in the tournament. I think through the first 2 games, they hit something like 12 home runs. Mm-hmm. It was gorilla ball. It was like Brad Cressy and all those guys. And Doug was the ace on that team. And then overnight, the weather changed in Omaha, and the wind started blowing completely in.
Really?
And it just neutralized that team.
No way.
They were hitting fly balls into the air that on a mediocre weather day, they'd have been home runs.
Yeah.
But they were hitting these towering shots into the air, and they were just getting knocked down.
Oh, my God.
Into the ground. And it really, you could tell, it kind of like freaked them out because they had beaten everybody.
Yeah.
They had beaten everybody like a drum. That 98 team is probably the best team not to win it. Mm-hmm. Like of all the teams that team was probably better than a team that did win it.
Yeah.
They were loaded. They were stacked. And they were playing so well. My grandfather, my dad, and I, after the first 2 rounds, caught a flight, flew to Omaha.
Really?
And
cool.
They played USC, and Brad Cressy hit a couple of like mountain fly balls into the air that when you heard it and when you saw it come off the bat, you're like, that's gone. And then it would get to like the middle of and it would just fall. I mean, and you could tell like even Skip was kind of like.
So the weather caused them not to win?
I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses, but they
that's what it
depended
sounds
so
like.
much on the home run.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just heard them, gorilla ball.
Right.
I mean, that's what they were known. People used to. I mean, like when they would come up to bat, they would be chanting gorilla ball. They had the you know, like it was just who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I mean, like the flags. Like we showed up to the ballpark the next day, and like the flags were blowing completely in. I mean, like it was just like one of these days where you're like, oh shit.
So the diehard baseball fans would say that the wind prohibited them from
I would think so, but you know
home.
what? They still had a chance
Yeah.
to win the game. And Doug's not going to let me telling the story, but it was one of these days where like, because we were there, it was like kind of like the wind was blowing. It was kind of like misty. You know what I mean? It was kind of like one of these just kind of like gray, Midwest weird days in Omaha. And Doug was pitching, and they were playing USC, and the kid laid down a bunt, and Doug came off the mound, like off of his follow through, and when he went to go pick the ball up, he kind of slipped. Like the ground. I mean, like you know, I mean, I'm not making an excuse, but he kind of slipped, and when that cat got on base, they like scored. It was like that type of game.
Yeah.
And LSU hadn't played in those 2-1 games. You know what I mean? Like they were beating people like 15-0 back then, and they got into one of these like the game that they were in against Texas a week ago, where it was like pitch for pitch. You know what I mean? It was like every single pitch meant something, and this cat laid down a bunt, and you were like, when he got on, you were like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, man. And they just couldn't recover, man.
Oh, what a bummer.
They just couldn't recover. And that was, I'm telling you, that team was so good. They were so intimidating.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, I bet they were.
I mean, like, they were so just like, would just mash. I mean, they would crush the ball.
Right.
And
it sounds like it.
You know, and then they got to Omaha, and they got kind of like, they got neutralized.
Yeah.
You know, they lost the game, and they kind of like, they got their kryptonite, and they became human, and USC could sense it. You know, you could tell, like, they were like, because I mean, like, a couple of these shots, you were like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, here they go.
Right.
They're about to get rolling now.
Right.
And I mean, like, the center field would just like crank, you know, just like sit underneath it and catch it, and you're like, what in the? You're like, man, they're in trouble today. They're in trouble today.
Yeah, Uncle Fuddles, nobody's talking about Mississippi State baseball. We're talking about LSU. So.
Wow, what's the deal?
I watched LSU beat Miss State that year in Omaha. Tell girl to keep quiet. We're talking about the LSU game. I mean, okay.
All right, we're going to talk some New Orleans Saints coming up here in a couple of minutes. Ross Jackson's going to be here. Saints, obviously, in the headlines is Derek Carr inked a free agency deal with the Saints as they signed the 4-time Pro Bowler to a 4-year deal. Ian Rappaport had it first for the reporting, as he's got $150 million over 4 years, including $100 million in total guarantees. We will talk to it and see. Look, they also had some reaction from Mike Thomas yesterday as Thomas was celebrating this on social media. We'll see if this can revive.
Yeah, he was excited.
The former All-Pro who's been injured seemingly since.
What did he say? I can't remember the tweet.
He said something
it
like, praise God.
Yeah, something like that.
Like,
yeah.
Thank you, God, yeah.
Yeah, that was really sweet. That kind of gave me chills.
So we'll see, man. We'll see what Ross thinks of the fit of Derek Carr down here.
Well, you know Ross is going to be optimistic.
Sure.
He always is.
We'll also see how this veteran roster will be put together around Carr to see if they'll be able to be a contender here over the life of this contract, right? Where's Derek Carr? Derek Carr is probably a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah, 15.
Top
yeah,
12.
Top 15.
I mean, where does he fall off the shelf?
I would put him at like top 12. Top 12.
Mahomes 1, Burrow 2. Josh Allen 3.
Okay.
Lamar.
What do you disagree with that?
No,
I'd
go
put,
ahead.
I'd
Go.
put.
I mean, do you disagree with that?
I don't know if Joe Burrow's number 2, but
Who would you put
go
ahead of Joe
ahead.
Burrow?
I don't know.
He's
I
going
mean,
to the-
like
he's going to
Aaron
the
Rodgers probably.
At 38?
Yes.
No way.
Nah,
Okay.
Rogers is
No way.
Rogers is
If I'm
behind.
giving
This
you
is
a
really
chance-
not an argument I want to get into at all.
No, Rogers is just behind
keep
those guys
going.
now.
But
If
I mean,
y'all
if
wanna
I'm
put Burrow
ranking
at
the
2,
quarterbacks,
that's cool.
give me somebody better than Burrow other than Mahomes. He's gone to the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years, and he's gone to the Super Bowl in the lifetime
has.
of his rookie contract. He's still on his rookie deal. I mean, I hear you, but Aaron Rodgers is 38.
I mean, does age matter anymore?
Sure.
Yes.
Really?
If I'm
It
building a
doesn't.
franchise,
Tom Brady has made that pretty clear.
if I'm
It
building
doesn't.
I mean, what I'm debating was where Derek Carr fits into the. I mean, Derek Carr at 32 is much more attractive than Aaron Rodgers at 38.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, sure.
I'd put
absolutely
Lamar up
age
there,
means
though.
something.
Lamar
Who?
has to be up there too.
Yeah.
Lamar's like top 5 easily.
Mahomes 1, Burrow 2, Josh Allen 3.
I mean, Jalen
Lamar,
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
What about Jalen Hurts?
Justin Herbert.
I would put Jalen
Justin
Hurts
Herbert?
above
I would
Joe
put-
Burrow just for now.
Who?
I would put Jalen
No.
Hurts above Joe
hell outta
Burrow.
here.
for
He's
now.
not above Joe
And then
Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
You said you
maybe
wanted no
after
part of
that.
this argument.
Okay,
You're
I'm
proving
out.
it.
I'm
You're
out.
proving
then.
it.
I'm out. I'm out. Fine.
Who else?
Fine. Tua.
Tua's not a top.
I'm not
15.
saying he's above Joe
Tua's on the-
Burrow. I'm
Tua's
just
on the
naming him as a
market.
good
No,
quarterback.
Tua's
They're
not even
shopping
a top,
Tua.
He's not a top 15 quarterback.
Okay. Tom Brady was.
He's
right.
out the league.
He'll
So.
be in
Okay,
San-
he's
he'll be-
out
He'll be
now.
in San Francisco.
I mean, Dak would be in the top 15, top 12,
Go Dak.
top
12.
12.
He'd be number 12.
You can't
for
argue
me.
that. I don't know. He and Lamar maybe
Oh,
would
no.
fight for number 12.
No way. Lamar is head and
I
shoulders
keep
better
getting
than
back
that.
into this, and I said I didn't want to get
He's
into
an
it.
MVP.
Yeah, Lamar's better than Dak.
Lamar won MVP. Dak ain't even came
Okay.
close to it.
Dak won the Walter Payton.
Oh my God! For being a good
He's
person.
a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a really good man.
He's got a great personality.
I mean, that Dak
He
Prescott,
does.
he's a great guy now. Might not win you all your football games, but he's a great guy.
Who's San Francisco's quarterback? Trey Lance. He's no good.
No, yeah, he hadn't done anything in
He's
the
no
league.
I mean, Geno Smith might be a top 15 quarterback right now.
Yeah, I put him at 15.
Yeah, I think so. I do.
Danny Dimes?
Oh my goodness. I guess.
I guess you got to put Deshaun Watson in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Deshaun is
Trevor
up there.
Lawrence.
There's a lot. Oh yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot.
There's 15 to pick from.
There's probably how many teams would not take Rodgers right now? I think there's probably, like, if you were saying here's Aaron Rodgers, I'm offering him to you, I would say Kansas City, Cincinnati,
Would not take him.
LA, the Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably
Ravens,
throw Philly in there. I would probably throw Hurts in there.
Baltimore.
You think?
Yeah, they wouldn't take him. He's too much of a problem. They already got QB issues.
Are they done with Lamar? Are they trying to push him out? This
I don't know.
contract they're giving him with the franchise tag and all these prove it.
They just haven't met the number yet. Like, they haven't met in the middle or anything. They said 300. He said 5.
Oh, God, this thing ain't never gonna happen. All right, we're gonna talk to Ross Jackson. We'll talk to quarterback market. Where does Burrow fit in? Is he second? We'll ask Jackson
Well,
next.
who are you asking?
I'm going to ask Jackson. I'm going to
Okay.
ask Ross.
All right.
He's going to be here next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue? decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression and anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest, then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online, and stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey,
Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Hey, Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go. Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at jordyculottashow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Thank you. I mean, Jesus.
What are you mad about?
Nothing. We'll talk about it.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet. 29 inches.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Jesus Christ, man.
Jumped 33 in high
Kids
school.
jumping 27 in 6th grade.
My kid's 5 and he jumps 20.
God, dog, man. All right, our favorite. It's been way too long. It's time to link up with our guy, man. Locked On Saints podcast. Obviously, you've been listening with the Saints in the news. Draft on the horizon. You still get daily content. The thing I love about it, you can trust it, man. It's there every single day. You need news on the Saints, you got to start off with Locked On Saints podcast, hosted by our boy Ross Jackson, who is back here giving us some info on Derek Carr, on Mike Thomas celebrating the pick yesterday. I love to see that. Ross, good morning. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, no. One second. We're figuring out, did we flip back? We had the phone hooked up. We good? Yeah. Ross, you there? Oh, no. One second. We're coming right back to you. We're going to get this figured out. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. We haven't done this in a while.
We haven't.
All right.
I haven't had these issues.
Thank you, Stewie.
WFB did it to us this
Thank you for
morning,
raising my blood today, Stewie.
It's not just us.
1 second. We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, let's pick it up on the phone line with our guy, Ross Jackson. No video this morning. Ross, we got you. Good morning. How are you, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Good morning. Thanks so much for your patience, and thanks for having me on, man. Always a pleasure to start my morning with you guys.
No problem, man. Let's react with obvious news here. The Saints make it official yesterday. Carr announces it on Twitter with the Who Dat tweet. What was your initial reaction when you saw the Carr news official?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that this is something that the New Orleans Saints, well, not think, I know. This is something the New Orleans Saints have wanted this entire offseason. They've had their eye on Derek Carr. I mean, we saw it from the, publicly from the point that, they were the only team to bring him in when a trade was possible. And then they, continued to visit with him, had him here in New Orleans for 2 days, brought him to Ralph Center Park, took his wife out on a tour of the city, brought him over to the facility, did all that good stuff. And then spent some time with them at the team hotel in Indy during the NFL Combine, and were able to get the deal done less than, 12 or less than 15, 16 hours after news had come out that he was reportedly having a, quote, slight lean to the New York Jets. So, the Saints went in there knowing that that's the guy that they wanted, and they end up coming out on the other end here with Derek Carr as their starting quarterback going into 2023. Now, it doesn't mean that this team is immediately a contender. There's still things that they have to do, holes they have to patch up all throughout the roster. But it does put them in a situation where they're starting off with a very clear vision of what they want this football to be in 2023, which is something that wasn't necessarily the case for them in 2022. So it's a good move for the New Orleans Saints for sure.
Ross, were you able to kind of pick up what the market was like for Carr?
Yeah, I mean, the best that you would sort of see was right around where his contract ended up landing. I think the contract that, I can't imagine that the contract that the New York Jets had would have been much different than this one. Maybe the structure might have been slightly different, but this felt like this was around where his market was going to be. $35 million per year was sort of the expectation. He gets on face value $37.5 million per year on this contract. But when you consider the fact that there's an out after 3 of the 4 years and that only $100 million of the $150 million total contract is guaranteed, he falls really in terms of guaranteed money around $33 million per year. So, on the up end, 35.7, on the low end, 33. So that puts your average at around 35 per year. That's about where anyone would have expected him to be. And that's about where he lands here in New Orleans as well, which is a top 10 contract right now among signal callers in the NFL in terms of average annual value. But once Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, and others get paid, he'll quickly tumble down that list of highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL.
Mike Thomas celebrated this signing. Will the Saints be celebrating Thomas in the fall? What's the status of him right now?
Yeah, that's certainly the hope. Now that the Saints have their quarterback and have a very clear vision, Derek Carr, Dennis Allen, the New Orleans Saints will look to go to Mike Thomas, or could look to go to Mike Thomas and say, hey, we've got the quarterback that can get you the ball. We've got somebody that you're clearly excited about. I mean, if you see him all over social media, he's very excited about Derek Carr in New Orleans. And so now they have the fodder that they need to be able to sell him on returning to New Orleans on a reworked deal, right? And that's the key, is that you're trying to get Michael Thomas to come back in 2023. If you're trying to do that, you're trying to do it on a reworked contract. Because as of right now, if Michael Thomas is on the roster on March 17th, and if he plays in 4 games in 2023, $60+ million becomes guaranteed in 2024. That can't be the contract that he stays on, right? So if you need to rework the deal, being able to have the passer that you wanted, the passer that he's excited about in your facility helps you do that. So now you can go to him and say, okay, we're going to get rid of all that, but we'll give you an incentive-heavy, performance-based and availability-based deal, incentive-based deal that allows you to come in and make the money that you feel like you can make with a quarterback like Derek Carr. Yeah. And those incentives can be anything from escalators that are based upon catches made, yards gained, touchdowns scored, and you can do availability ones and incentives as well in terms of snaps played, percentage of snaps played, or games played, which sort of protects the team against any another situation of unavailability, but also protects Michael Thomas and gets him his money if he's able to go out there and produce in 2023 with Derek Carr.
Ross, one of the things that when you dive into Carr, two of the things that he's never had seemingly in his career is stable front office and a defense. Now, correct. The Saints defense is 3 years in a row top 10 in the league, but those top 10 finishes have been built on the faces and efforts of Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, even guys like Tyrann Mathieu last year. Where is the life of this defense, the age of this defense? How much productivity is left in this unit with the faces that make it up?
Yeah, I think they have a lot left, especially because you consider the young core that's also a part of what they're doing. Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor, who had a fantastic rookie year last year, Pete Werner. If they can keep Caden Ellis in the building, that would be a big thing for them too, although Caden Ellis would probably mostly take third linebacker snaps unless there's another injury to Pete Werner. Demario Davis is still very, very solid, got his first Pro Bowl last year, but that's not at all indicative of what his career has actually been. A guy like Cam Jordan has, a couple of years for sure still left in the tank as far as he tells us for sure. Look, Carl Granderson had a big, coming on last year as well. And so now I think the big thing is, can you add more pass rushing presence? You don't know what you have in Marcus Davenport if he does stick around. If he does, I think it would have to be on a team-friendly sort of 1-year type deal, kind of a prove-it situation. You don't know necessarily what you've got in Peyton Turner yet, who hasn't been able to stay healthy for you to be able to figure things out. So you'll see what he is. But if you can shore up the defensive line, then I think you're in a good spot. But that's a big challenge for New Orleans is they have no defensive tackles currently under contract going into 2023. Wow. So keeping David Onyemata is huge for them, but you should also look for them to invest in free agency in the draft to shore up their interior, which was a weak spot for them in 2022. So if they can shore up that defensive line, then all of a sudden this team is very close to being back to, having an outlook of being a top 10, top 5 scoring defense, just like they have been over the course of the past few years.
Back on Thursday, Alvin Kamara pleaded not guilty in a Las Vegas courtroom to charges of assault in around the Pro Bowl. How does this affect the franchise? What do you think the fallout is of this?
Yeah, I think, what it does is that it pushes his trial to July 31st, which is going to be right in the middle of camp. So that will be something to watch, of course. But I think the real sort of impact of all this comes from what happens after the legal process or what happens through the legal process. There's several different ways the legal process can go through all those. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm not smart enough to do legal stuff, but I can tell you that when it comes to the NFL, what they'll do is that they'll wait for the legal process to wrap up before they sort of hand down their discipline. And their discipline would be independent of whatever happens in the legal process. So if, things go Alvin Kamara's way with the legal process, doesn't mean that it goes Alvin Kamara's way with the NFL's process. And we know that with the code of conduct policy that the NFL has in place, that violent acts such as what this is, the allegations are based on in this case, is usually met with at least a 6-game suspension is the way that the code of conduct policy has it phrased. So it could be more than 6 games, it could be 6 games, whatever that might be. So you're looking at the potential of not having Alvin Kamara for at least 6 games in 2023. Could be more, extensive than that. So that's definitely a big piece that you're waiting to sort of see, but you won't have that resolution until weeks after the July 31st trial, potentially even longer if it continues to push. So look for the New Orleans Saints to invest heavily at running back, which I think they would do even if Alvin Kamara didn't miss any games, because the only running backs they have on roster right now are Kamara himself and Eno Benjamin, who they picked up off of waivers last year, so they assume the remainder of his contract. So look for them to, go look for maybe a power back in veteran free agency, guys like Alexander Madison, Rashad Penny, Dearness Johnson, all of them make sense. And then in the draft, there's tons of players that this New Orleans Saints team can invest in as early as pick 29 if they're feeling feisty and really want to spend a first-round pick on a running back. Bijan Robinson could be there for them. I'm not a huge fan of investing a first-round pick on a running back because of wear and tear, injuries, things like that. So I would look for them maybe to invest 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and they could still walk out with real immense talent there, including, of course, the local guy here in New Orleans, Tajay Spears out of Tulane.
Ross Jackson joining us here. Remember to check out the podcast, Locked On Saints podcast. It's the best, man. We were also talking, Ross, from you and I last talked about the Sean Payton deal and around that time. Now that you've had a chance to see the capital that they were able to get back and learn a little bit about from the combine standpoint. I know you went up to Indianapolis last week. How do you like the Saints using these draft picks coming up here in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I think, them getting a first-round pick back, them being able to be in position here to either be able to invest immediately at pick 29, but now they also have the fodder to move around if they want to. The 2024 first-round pick is something I would be watching out for if the Saints feel like really excited about a prospect that they really want in that first round. Like, there's a lot of opportunities here, and so the Saints have the ability to just stand pat and go best player available at their individual picks, but they also now have the fodder that they need to be able to move around, whether that's in the first round, second round, third round, or like we saw years ago where they traded their entire day 3 to grab Adam Troutman, for instance, and things like that. I don't think they'll get too that aggressive, but they have everything they need to be that style of aggressive. 2 5th-round picks, 2 7th-round picks, enough to be able to move around and shake it up a little bit in day 3 as well. So I think that they're in position to do whatever it is that they feel is necessary and of value in terms of adding the talent that they want to add to this roster. And I think that that's where they start to look at where they can, invest all this. Obviously, free agency happens first. They'll try to fill their needs in free agency and then go with best player available, grab some wants in the draft. But adding, more talent at receiver, adding some more talent at tight end, shoring up their offensive line, rebuilding that defensive line, adding depth at safety. So right now they've only got 2 safeties. They're starters, Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May under contract. Of going into 2023. And remember, Marcus May also has an ongoing legal process as well, so he could miss time in 2023. So I think there's a lot of different places where they still have to address, but they're going to have the money that they need because Derek Carr's contract was structured in such a way that they can continue to spend money in free agency. And of course, they have the draft picks that they need to be able to get the guys that they want as well.
One of the young names last year that was starting to come on early in preseason and then was banged up was Trevor Penning. He was a first-round selection last year. Obviously, Chris Olave was the other first-round draft pick, and he had a stellar rookie year. What have you heard about Penning and his development, and where is he as far as his rehab goes coming in for a second year?
Yeah, I think with him having a Liz Frank injury, he's on a similar timeline as Taysom Hill. You remember Taysom Hill back in 2022. I'm sorry, my apologies, 2021. The last game of the season, suffered a Liz Frank injury, was back and ready for camp. Trevor Penning, his injury is similar in being a Liz Frank injury, same thing that happened to Cesar Ruiz earlier on in the year. But I think that they have the timeline and timetable that should have those guys back in time, or at least pretty soon after camp begins. Expect to hear the words ramp up a lot over the course of training camp when it comes to Trevor Penning. But I do think that if he's healthy, he's your starting left tackle next season. There's no doubt about that. The games that he was able to get in on once he made it back from his initial injury, which was that turf toe injury in the preseason, you saw the tenacity, you saw all of it. You saw the rawness as well, not going to lie, but you saw the tenacity. You saw everything it is that the New Orleans Saints like, the way that he finishes plays, the strength that he has, the anchoring ability that he has, all of that. Got beat on a couple of speed moves on the inside, on his inside shoulder. So that's going to be something that he'll have to work on once he's healthy enough to get up and work on that, if not in camp. But if he's able to improve that, then, he's going to be a long-term starter in the NFL, a long-term starter for the New Orleans Saints. And that's really what you're looking for. You're not necessarily looking for Teron Armstead to come back reincarnated in Trevor Penning, right? You're just looking for a solid starting left tackle, and Trevor Penning has everything to be at least that. And then, you look at a couple of other guys that came in that were making noise too in the sort of training camp preseason time. Smoke Monday, as well as DeMarco Jackson. DeMarco Jackson drafted by the New Orleans Saints late last year. Both of those guys the Saints have high hopes for, and it looks like they should be ready to go in camp as well. And so if that's the case, they have an opportunity to maybe earn themselves a roster spot, especially with the sort of starving depth that the Saints don't have right now at safety. And then the potential for Caden Ellis to get signed elsewhere, there could be an opportunity there for DeMarco Jackson to step right in.
Ross, one of the things I said about this Carr signing is whether you agree with it or you disagree with it. One thing that you have to respect, especially if you're a fan of the franchise, is that the Saints are always trying to give themselves a chance to compete and win. I know that you cover the team, you follow the team. What was your initial reaction when you saw that they made the move? Was there any part of you this offseason that thought that they would commit to a rebuild, or did you think that they were going to go all in on something like this and continue this aggressive win-now mentality that has been established around the franchise for seemingly the past decade?
Yeah, I think when we spoke with Mickey Loomis at the end of the season last year, one of the things that was clear is that he intended to continue to contend and compete here in 2023. And so, the moment that Derek Carr's name started to pop up, and I think you get, the salary cap folks that are out on, social media and everything that are saying, well, the Saints couldn't do that if they wanted to anyway, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they've been doing this since Jairus Byrd back in the day, right? It's like we've seen this so many times already. And so, no, it wasn't super surprising to me. It's sort of what I expected. I know that the Saints are working on sort of long-term plans to make sure that they're getting back to even. But look, as long as the NFL salary cap keeps rising, Kai Harley and the New Orleans Saints, as well as Mickey Loomis, are going to continue to push stuff down into the future and utilize their books as a whole, as opposed to focusing on them year by year by year, the way that maybe some people will look at the salary cap. For the Saints, they don't look at the salary cap as 2023 salary. They don't look at it as 2024 salary cap. They look at it as the salary cap, which has a never-ending and exponentially growing total behind it. And so as long as they're able to continue to do that and see it that way, they'll continue to do this, and they'll continue to make sure that they're competing. And I think, too, when you saw Tom Brady retire this offseason, it was a big reality for the New Orleans Saints that you look at the quarterbacks in the division. Desmond Ridder is very likely to be the Atlanta Falcons starter. Yeah, there's a lot of conversation around, could the Falcons land Lamar Jackson? it's unlikely. I don't see Lamar Jackson getting out of Baltimore. Even if they do a non-exclusive franchise tag, they're just going to let somebody else make up the contract, and then they'll match it so they don't have to do the negotiating anymore. But I think you're going to see the Atlanta Falcons with Desmond Ridder, or perhaps maybe a rookie quarterback. We'll see. I mean, you can't count them out. They are drafting in the top 10. Carolina could go back to Sam Darnold and draft a rookie. We could also see Matt Corral or PJ Walker, all fine. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers talk during the combine was that they were looking at going ahead with Kyle Trask and then grabbing like a veteran quarterback to back him up. And the two veteran quarterbacks, Jordy, that I heard so much in Indy, Baker Mayfield and Drew Lock. The Saints are fine when they have a guy like Derek Carr at quarterback. They have the best quarterback in the division. And so if they continue to do all the next steps, the things they need to get right moving forward and continue to build that team around Derek Carr, they should be the best team in the division, which allows them to have a playoff spot, which allows them to continue to compete, which allows them to feel that they are going to be a competitive team in 2023. This was no surprise.
Ross, settle an argument between me and Stewie. Does Derek Carr wear eyeliner, yes or no?
I don't know. I wish I could answer that. Hopefully I'll be able to answer that for you at another time.
All right.
But I will tell you this. There are people that refer to Derek Carr as being guyliner Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And so like there is a big sort of like contingent around all of that. But I prefer to think of Kirk Cousins as like a not as good Derek Carr, like a worse in-game Derek Carr. So I give Derek Carr the edge in that conversation.
Ross, look, I wanted to hate on this, and I have been the naysayer of the group here. But when you dive into him, he's got more fourth quarter comebacks than anybody in the league since he's been drafted. He's not had a defense, a very unstable front office. There is the weapons and the interceptions that is a little bit concerning, but I mean, we'll see, right? I mean, you just kind of he's the best on the market, and the Saints made a push. They played aggressive, so you just kind of go see.
Yeah, and look, he's fourth amongst active quarterbacks in game-winning drives. He was tied for the fourth highest average depth of target last year in a bad Josh McDaniels offense. Yeah, he's thrown 14 interceptions in each of the last 2 years, but remember that the leader in interceptions last year was Dak Prescott. I don't want to start that argument. I know that argument.
Please
don't. Go, Dak.
Oh, God, please don't.
There is no argument.
Please don't. We've already done this for 30 minutes today.
But the leader last year in interceptions was Dak Prescott with only 15. We're talking about an NFL that had a leading interception total of just 15 interceptions by a single quarterback, which has to be among the least to ever lead the league in terms of a total. So we're watching interceptions come down and down and down and down. And we've also seen quarterbacks over the course of history throw 20 interceptions, 18 interceptions, 19 interceptions, 23 interceptions, 30 interceptions, and still win games. And I don't look at Derek Carr throwing 14 interceptions over the course of the past two seasons as being a bad total. It's just sort of the, as you're alluding to, Jordy, the sort of context around those interceptions, kind of some ill-advised throws, decision-making, and things like that. But we should keep in mind, Josh McDaniels' offenses have not worked unless somebody has been there to keep him in check, like a Bill Belichick, right? And then we've also seen that 2 years ago in Las Vegas / Oakland at the time, I think, you had John Gruden there for part of a season before he was let go. Then you had an interim head coach in Rich Bisaccia who came in. And so these are two weird, unstable sort of seasons for Derek Carr. Before that, you've got 10, 8, and 9 interceptions, and then what was his previous career high of 13. I think if you look at what some of the situations have been across the NFL, you'll take that 9 times out of 10 as long as you can get him back to that. And I think that what the New Orleans Saints offer are, if they can get Michael Thomas back, you've got a safe possession receiver to target. You've got some downfield threats in Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. If you can get Juwan Johnson back on that restricted free agent tender or a long-term deal, either way, you've got another safe target there. And then you've got to reinvest in the backfield. But once Alvin Kamara is available to you, you have the check down, take what the defense gives you, player that can, be a home run hitter at any time. You can find more of those guys in this year's draft and free agency. There's going to be a lot of smart football played in New Orleans with Derek Carr that should keep him from having to worry about those types of decisions that led to some of those ill-advised interceptions that you've seen over the past couple of years.
Great content as always, man. A must listen. If you're a Saints fan, if you're looking for Saints info, get over and check out the Saints podcast, Locked On Saints podcast, hosted by our friend Ross Jackson. He is with us. It's been too long, man. Good to catch up. We'll talk soon.
Glad to be here with you guys, man. Thanks so much for having me on. Y'all take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. There he is, Ross Jackson. Make sure and hit him on Twitter at Ross Jackson NOLA. And if you don't mind, give us a vote. We got our poll question up, brought to you by our friends over at Southern Eye Center. Remember, Southern Eye Center on Jefferson Highway, located right there on Jefferson in the heart of Baton Rouge, getting you ready for summer and spring here with a great sunglass selection. You don't have to have eye issues to get over to Southern Eye Center and shop their sunglass selection. Tell Dr. Ann Shaw that you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. They got great social media over at Southern Eye Center as well. Make sure and check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm trying to get her on TikTok. They need to be on TikTok.
They do need to be on TikTok. They could do fun stuff on TikTok. Stewie will volunteer to go over there and shoot some TikTok
Stewie
videos.
will definitely. Stewie will work for free. You heard it here first, Dr. Shaw. As long as your staff is still intact, Stewie will be there. Bright and early.
Stewie needs to know who's working on Wednesdays.
But the poll question brought to you by Southern Eye Center. Do you like the Saints signing of Derek Carr? A simple vote for us will help us out. Get over and check it out on the poll. We'll be back and close it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha,
Malik Neighbors,
Miles Frazier,
Kyra Lacey,
Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference.
Bet. Let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Appreciate Ross Dellinger stopping by. Or excuse me, Dellinger. Ross Jackson. We're looking at Deli's report. Ross Jackson for stopping by, giving us the latest on the Saints and the Derek Carr move as the Saints ink the 4-time Pro Bowl quarterback to a $100 million contract to Carr. So he'll be down here in New Orleans as the next quarterback. As we said, Mike Thomas was pretty happy about this as he tweeted out yesterday after the news became official. Thank you, Jesus, was his.
Oh, that's what it was.
His tweet celebrating Derek Carr.
I like that. I like that he's excited about it.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Right?
Yeah. Let's hope Mike's excited about coming back.
Get back on the field, man.
Yeah.
It's time to play, Mikey.
Yeah,
it's time to play, man. It's time to play.
It is.
All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody being involved here today. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. As daily, we are brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Remember our friends over at Katie's. Stop in and see them down there on Iberville Street if you're down in New Orleans. Great menu selection, great cold beer, great pizza, St. Louis style. Great neighborhood joint. Stop in and check them out. Scott Craig, tell him we said hello over at Katie's. Katie'sInMidCity.com. We'll be back with you tomorrow for the Jordy Culotta Show. Tomorrow, taking your voicemails.
That's right. It's Wednesday.
Go, Dak.
No, we're not going to talk about that.
Taking your text messages.
Wait, can we talk about when does the tournament start?
A week from Thursday.
Like NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
I mean, you keep the you check. Do you count the play-in games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
So I guess that would be Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Like next Tuesday night.
A week from tonight.
Okay.
I saw something saying they were gonna give the women's the 3 seed.
Say what?
For losing.
Really?
The semifinal game in the SEC women's tournament.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh. You read that somewhere?
I read that on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere.
On the Twitter machine?
On the Twitter machine.
Who said so?
Have y'all read the little story about Kennesaw State? Do you know about them? That's so cute.
Hit me.
Like they've clinched their spot in the tournament on Sunday. 3 years ago, they're the Owls. 3 years ago, they went 1-28.
Oh God.
1-28. And now they're 26-8 conference champs. I think that's so cool.
Hire
I love
that
the
guy.
underdog stuff.
I mean, who's that coach?
Yeah,
I
who's
know,
that?
right?
Good
exactly.
Lord. UL won their conference yesterday too.
It said that their school paper didn't even cover the team last year. It kind of sounds like our story right now, right?
Oh,
Now every major media outlet's embracing them. The Kennesaw State school paper didn't cover the team last year because they were so bad.
Fire the staff.
Yeah, for real.
Right?
I mean,
they were 13-8, so they were 1-28 and then 13-8 last year, and now they're 26-8.
Make a funny story of how bad they
Yeah,
I know.
That's what LSU does.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for being involved here today. Like, share, comment. Go Kennesaw State, the Owls. Hooty hoo.
The Owls.
All right, we'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Have a good day. Later. See ya.